Aha! This, guys, is the OnePlus Open. And this is the latest foldable on the market from OnePlus. Now, you're wondering, okay, Thunder E, we've seen a ton of videos today about the OnePlus Open. Why is yours special? Well, because we're doing gaming on this device. Now, if you're joining us for the very first time, hit that subscribe button, notification icon, so you'll be notified about more videos like this. So the Open is a really cool device. I love the design of the Open. I like the wider front panel display at 6.3 inches. It's got 120 Hz refresh rate, which of course is great for us gamers, and 2800 nits brightness, super bright, so in any conditions you can actually see that. You open up into the internal display, that is about 7.3, 120 Hertz, 2800 nits brightness as well, so massive display. But one of the cool things is how little that crease is and feels on the device, which is nice to see. Now, when it comes to gaming performance, that is something that we care about here on this channel. And what do we get from this device as we play the games we love? But also, we will talk about that camera because this camera hump here does some very interesting things. So let's start off with, of course, benchmarks. Geekbench 6, we looked at the benchmarks here, and honestly, they were not as impressive as I'd like to see. Single core, 10,059, multi-core, 3816. Not as impressive as we've seen in other devices. We've seen much higher, especially in multi-core. So does that mean this cannot game? Because this is running a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor here. And we have something that can give us a lot of performance. So let's see some of that gameplay. And we start off with Call of Duty Mobile, where we're playing at ultra medium settings and getting 180 and 120 frames per second. That is impressive to see. And what I like about this device also is that the fact that while you're playing a game like this, you can use, of course, the continuity from the larger internal display to the external display, or the external display to the larger one. And what's cool is when you're using this cover screen external display, you're getting a nice wide space, so it feels comfortable to game here, it looks pretty good, and it plays really well. So Call of Duty, it's not a problem for most high-end devices. What about PUBG Mobile? Well, we tried both levels of PUBG Mobile, Ultra HD, where we got a solid 40 frames per second, and it played really well. And then we moved over, of course, to Extreme HDR, getting solid 60 frames per second. Now, some of you ask, Thunder E, you could have gone to Extreme Smooth to get 90. Nah, there's no 90 frames on this at this time. But we got the highest we could get possible, and it ran well. And again, being able to switch between the internal and external displays was pretty easy and very straightforward to do. So I definitely like that. So what about temperatures here? Now, while playing both Call of Duty and PUBG Mobile, we're able to get temperatures of up to 99 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 36, 37, which is actually pretty good. So temperatures stayed pretty cool there on that. But what about Genshin Impact? Now, this is a game that we know very well that, of course, temperatures can rise, performance can vary. So we went to the highest setting, put at 60 frames per second, and we played Genshin. And it starts off at 60 frames per second. And roughly about 10 minutes into gameplay, it then drops down, and it settles around 41 to 42 frames per second while gaming, playing Genshin Impact. That was very interesting to see, and it did handle it pretty well. So I think that's actually a huge plus, and I think it works well, but I also think that the processor could perform a little bit better. Just not sure why those benchmark numbers were low, but all the same, it ran well. Now you're going, Genshin, what about temperatures? This is where the OnePlus Open shines for that, because you've got that real estate, you've got all that stuff. You're thinking bigger display, more heat, more use of the processor. Well, we got about 105 degrees at max, which is quite impressive, around 42 degrees Celsius. So that was good to see, and I like the fact that it didn't overheat. Plus, you do have a game bench tool built into the device where you can see FPS and also do other things while you're gaming. So that's also a nice added touch for us gamers. Now, the other thing about gaming on a device like this is that you have, of course, better speakers overall. So how do the speakers sound when you're gaming, and also how do they sound when you're watching content? that's pretty impressive, seeing how the speakers handle really loud, clear, and very crisp while gaming and also watching content. Another thing to mention is the battery life on the OnePlus Open. So everything I recorded in this video for you guys was about an hour period roughly. And then I was at 23% battery life and it went down to about 6, which is really impressive. I think it handled that really well, and battery management handled things, especially while gaming. So I have to say though, when you're gaming with this device, battery drain is very comparable and solid all the way through. And speaking of watching content on real estate, it's great to actually see content on the display. It's really nice, it's very usable, and it's also great for things like your game streaming services. Xbox Game Pass plays really well here, whether you're playing Need for Speed or you're playing FIFA 23. It handles it quite well on this device, and of course you can connect your Xbox controller, you're good to go, or even the Bluetooth controller. Whatever controller that actually can work via Bluetooth connectivity will work for you right here. I think the performance here really stands out for gaming, and I like that with the device. What you see here is a case from OnePlus that comes with the device, which is pretty cool, that protects the camera hump, which has some really impressive cameras and a 6x optical zoom. And this camera has some really impressive work, especially compared to the Galaxy Z Fold 5, because that's a device that a lot of people have talked about and showcased, to where this is its main competitor. And let's take a look at some of those images against the Z Fold 5. Quite impressive. But honestly, I think OnePlus has done a lot with the imagery on this device with Hasselblad, where as you're looking at the photos I've taken, we had an event with OnePlus, we saw how well this thing does in low light conditions, very difficult conditions that the camera should not be handling well, and it does a really good job. Even video as well, it does a really solid job at that. I had my buddy Tusef in town, and we got to do some window shopping for, of course, vintage watches in Chinatown, which is pretty cool. But you can see how well this actually handles that kind of content overall. Now, I think as a gamer and as somebody who's looking to pick up, say, a foldable device, the OnePlus Open is pretty much the best large-scale foldable on the market. Yes, it beats out the Galaxy, and with its price point and the trade-in offer that they have, which is quite impressive, there's a $200 minimum trade-in offer for any device in any condition. So which means you could bring your old school Nokia phone that's a massive brick and trade it in to OnePlus directly at oneplus.com, and you will at least get $200 off, bringing this price down to technically $1,500 for this smartphone, which is quite impressive. I like what OnePlus is doing. I think a lot of people would appreciate it too, but I want to know what are your thoughts. Do you like the OnePlus Open? Do you think this is the foldable to beat? Give me your thoughts, let me know. Otherwise, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and always enjoy your entertainment. This thing is dope. It is really dope. It's just so smooth.